Hello friends, it's Nick with the Whip Shop, and in today's video I want to show you guys how to plait a 24 plait handle. But this is no ordinary 24 plait handle. If you're new to the channel, 24 plait simply means that there are 24 strands that make up that particular braided part of a whip. Oftentimes when you hear the term 24 plait whip, that means that each strand is being plaited independently from one another. That's not the case here. We're going to actually be braiding 3 strands at the same time. So even though that we have a total of 24 strands, it's going to be just like we're braiding an 8 plait whip. Anyways, the material that we're using in today's video is type 95 cord. Now this cord is similar to 275 paracord insofar as it is much more round than it is flat. Now there's a lot of whip makers that use 275 parachute cord for their whip overlays, and this is just a little bit smaller than 275 cord. So we're going to be using this stuff, and we're also going to be using, where did I put it? Regular old 550 parachute cord, the material that you've seen me use the most on this channel. So the idea for today's handle is to have the strands oriented like this. We're actually going to have one red strand of type 95, also known as micro cord, sandwiched in between 2 black strands of 550 parachute cord. This makes for a really neat looking handle with little red highlights, or any color you decide to choose for that whip's handle, or even the overlay. In today's video, we're working on a 9-foot bullwhip that I don't have with me right now. I'd be showing it to you guys and pointing out certain spots on it, but I ended up sending it off to my client today because the deadline was up. So we'll just have to make do with the footage I got. Now I do have to mention before we get started with today's handle, setting up these strands is a little bit tricky. If you're getting really confused and strands are kind of underneath other strands where they shouldn't be, is this the right one? Just keep going. Follow the guide as best you can, and I promise you, as you work your way down 2, 3, 4 inches, it's going to become easier and easier to see the strands that you need to grab and plait. So without further ado, thank you guys so much for being here. If you enjoy videos like this, please do reach down, hit the subscribe button, and let's get into today's tutorial. Okay, so we have here our 9-foot nylon bullwhip right here that we're going to be plaiting this handle onto right here. Now, as you can see here, I've already plaited the overlay of this whip. I wanted the handle to be plaited separately from the rest of the whip as to not have to do this pattern all the way down. So I have a few other videos talking about the way that I plait the handle independently from the rest of the whip. So what we're going to need today is type 95 parachute cord. This is known as micro cord as well. It's a very thin diameter compared to 550 parachute cord. You can see right there. So what we're going to need to do is plait a total of 24 strands. This is going to be a 24 plait handle. The difference, however, is instead of it being a conventional 24 plait handle where you're plaiting each strand independently from one another, one at a time, we're going to be plaiting 3 strands at the same time. So although hearing a 24 plait handle might sound intimidating, don't worry. It's going to be the same as plaiting an 8 plait whip, because there's going to be 3 strands going at the same time. So the first thing I like to do here when I'm plaiting a handle independently from the rest of the whip, this has already been taken care of, is I like to measure the handle. And this one just so happens to be 8 inches. From the top here, all the way down to the transition is 8 inches. So what I like to do for as far as measuring my strands is I like to make them, to begin with, I like to take my 550 parachute cord and go double the length of that handle. So instead of 8 inches, here's the 16-inch mark. Then we're going to take the other end of that and put it right there. So we end up having, for an 8-inch handle, we have a 32-inch strand right here. Of course, later on, one half is going to be the left side and the other half is going to be the right side. So what I want to do is cut out a total of 8 32-inch strands for this 8-inch handle. Now, if you had a 10-inch handle or a 24-inch handle, just double it 4 times, and that's the length that you want for these strands. So I want 8 of these right here. I already have them cut out. And then I want 4 of the micro cord strands cut out in a different color. Again, these need to be 32 inches long. So you'll have a total of 12 strands combined. Alrighty, once we have all of our strands cut right here, what I've done is I've put a type 95 strand in between each pair of black 550 strands. So we're going to have a total of 12 strands. From here to here is 32 inches. So what we want to do next is find the middles of these strands. So this is the middle right here, and I'm going to kind of sandwich them together, and we're going to blast them with a lighter and then fuse them together. It's a kind of a crude thing, to be honest. It's not very nice to do to paracord, but we're going to do it anyway because it helps us know where the middles are. Not only does it help us know where the middles are when we begin plaiting, but it's going to keep those strands where they need to be so they're not getting all stangled up, going every which way. We don't want that. So hold them together and push them together like this. No, it didn't work very well, did it? Like that. Flip it over. Maybe do the same thing on the other side. So see, we can move things around like this, and at the end of the day we can go back, we can see where those melt points are, those are the middles, and that red strand is staying in the middle. So now that the middles are indicated by those melt points, as well as the red strands are in between the black pairs of strands, we're going to gather them all up and send them to Happy Dale. It's a quote from one of my favorite movies. Okay, so the whip is in the clamp, and something important to mention at this point is this right here that's exposed is the second belly. There's one other belly underneath this one that you see here. The first belly is 8 strands, 8 plait, and the second belly is 10 strands, 10 plait. So that's going to give you the diameter that you need right here. And the diameter of the steel rod that I used in this whip is right there. So I'm going to grab all the strands right here, and in one foul swoop, we're going to take them, finding those middles, we have them right here marked, and we're just going to lay them around the transition point of the whip like this, and we're going to fold the right side over the left side like that. Now we have a little bit of work to do once we've done this, and that work is making sure that those strands are not overlapping over other strands that they should not be overlapping over. So there we have that. What we want is this particular pattern. We want black, red, black. That looks good. Moving down the line, black, red, black. That looks good. Black, red, black. And black, red, black. So we want that to be the orientation of these strands on both the left and the right side. As you can see, it's not that way on the right side. And that's just because we need to kind of pull things to the surface. There's that red in the middle that we want. Moving down the line, there it is again. And there it is again right there and right there. So here we go, 24 plait handle, but using 3 strands plaited together at the same time. So let's do it. We're going to start from the upper left right here. I'm going to grab all 3 of these strands. We're going to go around the back, and we're going to go under these 3 right here, all 3 at the same time, over these next 3, and each time you go over and under, make sure that, try to keep that red in the middle, over this set, under this next set here, and over that last set. And once you pass those through, it's important to kind of go through and make sure that at least you're coming out with that red strand in the middle right there. If I look inside, things did get a little bit mixed up, but we're going to be pushing this all the way to the top. I promise you, starting this pattern is the hard part. It's going to get easier as we work through these strands. Next, we're going to grab from the upper right another set with the red in the middle. Hang on, let me just get this a little bit figured out there. And let me find it. It's right here, kind of hiding behind. Here's our next set with the red in the middle. We're going to go around the back. And we're going to go under 3, over 3, over these 3 here, under 3, and over 3, like that. And I'm going to pull tension on all strands before we worry about what needs to go where. Looks pretty good there. So we got a red in between these two. Let's just work our way up. There's the first set right there on the lower left. Working our way up. This is actually the next set. That's where it needs to be. Working our way up. Here's another set, and here's the set at the top. That looks good. Shimmy it up just a little bit. And from the upper left-hand side, we're going to grab these strands. We're going to go around the back. We're going to go under 3, over 3, under 3, and over 3. Just like that. And pulling tension on all these strands. And if things seem like a sloppy mess right now, they are. I don't know any better way to say that, but things are a bit messy right now. And once we start pulling things into place, it's going to look a lot better. Just always making sure that when I grab the strands that I need, I'm grabbing a pair of 2 black strands with the 1 red in the middle. And we're going to go now from the upper right-hand side around the back. Under 3, over 3, right there, under 3, and over those last 3, like that. Let's put things back where they need to be. See, this black strand needs to go over this red strand here. And you just follow it back around to the back side to see where it came from. There we go. And a little bit of a breath of fresh air at this time because it's beginning to get a little bit easier to see where things go. Not extremely easy. We still got some work to do, but we're working through it. And now from the upper left, around the back, under 3, over 3, under 3, over 3. And just twisting things back around to where they need to be. That. I'm starting to pull these a little tighter now. The fact that the pattern is starting to materialize, and I promise you it's going to get easier. I might even go as far as to say that if things just aren't working out, just keep going, because we can always push this. We have some excess that we cut. We can push this to the top. I'm just going to independently pull each strand here for a second. Not too tight because we still have to slide it to the top. All right, from the upper right-hand side, I'm going to grab my 3 strands around the back. And we're going to go under 3, over 3, under 3, over 3. And the key is just doing your very best to always keep those strands in line in that orientation with the red in the middle. And if they're not like that, briefly, it's okay. We just go through and we just push them around to where they need to be, like this. See that? Just pulling this one up in order. Top black strand, middle red, bottom black, black, red, black, black, red, black, black, red, black. And it's starting to look more like the pattern that you clicked on when you saw this thumbnail. I know it didn't from the beginning. All right, from the upper left, around the back. Under 3, over 3, under 3, over the 3. See how things are beginning to be a lot easier to tell which strand is which? There we go. And there's that pattern that we're looking for. What I'm going to do is bring the whip down a little bit in the clamp, and I'm just going to slide things up a little bit, not all the way to the top yet. We're going to continue on a little bit here. See, it's missing in the middle there. We just need to pull it out, that red one. There it is. All right, from the right-hand side, I'm going to grab these 3 strands around the back, and we're going to go under 3, over 3, move that back where it needs to go, over these 3, under 3, and over 3. See, when I pull it right away, the red's on top. We don't want that. We want this to be on top, the black strand, and pull the red one to the middle, and work that slack all the way through, pushing those strands where they need to be. And because now we have previous passes to see, it's easier to know where it needs to go. If that makes sense. Like that. And look at how loose this still is. See, we can maneuver this anywhere we want it. So from the upper left now, the red strand is buried in there. Pulled it out. Around the back, under 3, over 3, under 3, over 3. Just like that. Kind of using that fingernail to pull that black strand out from the side of the red one. Very good. Things are starting to snug up a little bit, but I'm still not ready to push this to the top. From the right hand side, grabbing these 3 strands at the same time, around the back, under 3, over 3, under 3, over 3. And the reason that I didn't set this up in the normal orientation where I introduce the pairs of strands, I'll usually introduce, okay, tie the first one on and then open that eye and slide the others through. I've tried that before, and it is a lot more work and a lot more confusing to know and to be able to identify where those strands need to go from the beginning. So that's why I just decided to do it this way. A long time ago, I made a coral snake whip tutorial, and I used that same tie-on method where you just take all the strands and wrap them around at once. And I think it's just a lot more beginner-friendly. From the upper left, 3 strands together, under 3, over 3, under 3, over 3. So that's feeling better already. And hopefully, even if it was a little bit tough to see what I was doing as far as setup goes, hopefully you at least know the orientation and you know the procedure for plaiting this pattern. It's just groups of 3 with 1 red strand sandwiched in the middle of each set of strands on the left and right. See that? There's always that one that's sandwiched in the middle, that red type 95 cord. So at this point, what I'm going to do is take the whip out of the clamp. Just going to grab this and just shuffle it up to the top. And then we have some tightening that we need to get done. Let's not let this unravel on us. All the way up to the top like that. And now I'm going to tighten everything. One strand at a time, just going down the line and tightening everything up. All right, so now that we have all those strands slid up to the top and I've tightened them a little bit, we're gonna put them back in the vise. And now we can resume and nothing stands in our way. Except me rambling on about random things. I like to do that in my videos sometimes. You guys enjoy it? Let me know in the comments. There's a lot of YouTube channels where people will build things and there won't be any talking at all. And those videos are great, but I don't know if, I think it's just kind of fun to talk about some random things and maybe, you know, when I watch videos where it's a tutorial, it's sort of like I'm hanging out with somebody in a way. That makes sense. So let me know if you guys enjoy it, the random conversation. Anyways, okay, we have the whip back in the clamp, and now we can really start to tighten things up, and everything's looking much better than it did a few minutes ago, I can tell you that much. And I'll be honest with you, I've not done this in quite some time, so there was a moment in time about 15 minutes ago where I started asking myself, Nick, should you really be showing people how to do this? Because it probably looks like you don't know how to do it. It's been a while, so this is good for me to actually get some practice doing this. 24 plat, 3-strand braided at the same time handle. So look at that. This is the really neat thing about this pattern. We see like almost like the pattern that you see. Remember those old dodgeballs that we used to use when we were little kids? We'd play dodgeball, those kind of rubber, heavier balls that if you got hit in the face with, it would like leave a big imprint of these lines that you see on this handle. This is what this pattern reminds me of. All right. Strands on the surface point to the upper right, so we're going to grab those 3 at the same time around the back. And we're going to go under, over, under, over. Laying that into place and going back through and pushing the black strands on the edges, sandwiching that red strand in the middle. Let me do this without pulling my microphone off of my shirt. And with this pattern, it's really important, guys, to check around the back. This is a prime example. Like, I haven't done this pattern in a while, so I can be sitting here so focused on getting the front looking right. Make sure that red strand isn't creeping underneath one of the black strands, so on and so forth. And I can look around, get to here, and go, oh no, things were twisted. So this is a hot spot for things to become twisted on you when you don't want them to twist. And from the upper left, around the back, under 3, over 3, under 3, over 3. There we go. Kind of just pushing down and inward, or out and up, I should say. Now, I've seen my friend Justin Hall of JJ Hall's Whips. He likes to do this stuff with this micro cord, especially on his knots too. I've seen him do this quite a bit, and I really like that. If you're watching this video, brother, hope you're doing great, and love to see you at one of these whip meets at some point in LA. You should come out, man. It's a good time. All right, from the upper right, around the back, under 3, over 3, get over there, under 3, over 3. And look at this, see that? What's crossing up on us right there? Let me zoom in a little bit. That's better. So yeah, this strand is wanting to go over there. So pull it back and we can reveal the red strand that's supposed to be in the middle. That's what we want. Even though this is less time consuming in my opinion than just a straight, you know, under one over one 24 plat handle, 24 plat still kind of lives up to its name insofar as it's still kind of a handful, literally, of keeping strands in line, kind of herding them to where they need to be, keeping track of which one is where. So I wouldn't call this a simple pattern. This is probably more intermediate work. See, just kind of lifting these and pushing the red strand back to the middle. And then, let's see here, yeah, this one needs to go over this. It's all about just getting twists out is what's going to be the most time consuming if you guys try this pattern. That's really what's going to take up most of your time, is just uncovering strands, pushing them back into place, so on and so forth. And I think we've established enough passes to where we can go ahead and do our tightening again, one by one, tightening those strands. Type 95 paracord kind of hurts, by the way. If you're used to a flat surface with more surface area, like 550 parachute cord, you'll grab that, oh, no problem. Then you grab your 95 and ouch, it's so thin that it kind of bites into your fingers. So I might recommend wrapping your fingers with either some electrical tape or hockey tape or something that will kind of distribute the pressure from those strands so you're not cutting into your fingers. And that's all it is. I know it's kind of a handful, and I was kind of rudely reminded of that a few minutes ago where I had to pause the camera and kind of figure out what the heck I was doing there for a minute. But starting this pattern is the tough part. It's probably 90% of the work is just getting things oriented from the get-go. And once you have everything laid out, I'm repeating myself, but once you have everything laid out, this pattern is very manageable. Because, you know, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like, because we're doing 3 strands at the same time, this is the equivalent of an 8 plat while still being 24, literally 24 strands. But it's being plaited in such a way that it's like an 8 plat. Under 3, over 3, under 3, over 3. And that, my friends, is the pattern. Let's back out a little bit so you can see what we've done. And I'm just going to take it out of the vise for a second and just kind of rotate it around a little bit. That's it. It's a really fun pattern to do. Really neat highlights with that Type 95 parachute cord. And we'll go ahead and get this handle finished up. Well guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope it inspired you, and I hope that you will try this handle. It's a really fun pattern, and it goes a long way as far as providing some variations and nice highlights to your bullwhips. And to close out the video, here's me trying to hit a water droplet out of the air with the whip and missing every single time. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next one.